Every one of us likes to think that Call of Duty is a game of skill, and to an extent, it always will be. No matter how many stupid equipment pieces or crazy camping strategies emerge, nothing really ever substitutes pure raw gun skill. However, throughout COD history, there have been a handful of weapons that seemingly take absolutely no skill at all to use effectively, leading to plenty of angry tweets and furious reactions on streams. Welcome to the channel, everybody. Chaos here. Today we expose the D-bag weapons. Those no-skill weapons that you either hated or you used all the time. Very, very powerful, but also very douchebag. They required not much, if any, skill at all to pop off, and try not to take this personally if you're one of the people who spammed one of these weapons or more. Drop a like and let's kick it off with the MP40 from World at War. One of the most busted guns in COD history. You know, I know, we've spoken about it 50 times on this channel. It was not only a ridiculous SMG, it was fundamentally broke. It fundamentally broke the game. The weapon selection in World at War was largely made up of rifles and heavy machine guns, meaning a lot of combat took place at mid-range. Yes, there was a handful of SMGs, but since they were rather low damage and the map design was pretty big and open, they weren't that popular. The MP40, on the other hand, well, it was one of those spam guns in the game because it was completely broken from all ranges. Up close, it would hit for a ridiculous 59 damage without stopping power. Max range still only needed 4 bullets to connect in order to drop somebody. If you were running SP, well, this SMG was a 3-shot kill from literally any distance on any map. It didn't matter. And when you factor in the excellent mobility and ammo capacity, hands down the best gun in the game. It was way too powerful. And since you could run around and hold the trigger and kill people instantly, it did not require skill to use effectively. I think it's a good way to start today's list. The World at War MP40 may be a piece of COD history, but you always had to shake your head whenever you ran into somebody else using it. Before we move on, if you are a fan of money, that's right, money, cash, dollar bills, check out the giveaway below. We're doing a huge cash giveaway to grow the Chaos Comics Twitter, and you guys can get involved. It's completely free to join, free to enter, and somebody, actually multiple people, are going to win a lot of money. At number 9, the Lewis in COD World War II. Now, the starting LMG in the game, it was arguably overpowered simply because of its ease of use, honestly, and it was insanely powerful. Despite being an LMG, it was pretty quick with its movement speeds, and since it hit like 3 Mack trucks, you can imagine how much people exploited it. The recoil was very low, the fire rate was right where it needed to be, and the ammo capacity was insane, and add the damage, the cherry on top that would kill in 3 shots from any distance, you have a D-bag gun. With extended mags, you could run around with almost 100 rounds at once, and on smaller maps like Shipment and London Docks, you could hold down entire sections of the map by yourself without ever moving a foot. Everybody who played COD World War II knew how busted the Lewis was, and I think it fits perfectly in a list like this. I don't think it took any skill at all. You know it, I know it, and we're going to move on. At number 8, the STG-44 in Vanguard. Now, in the early days of Vanguard, this sounds like we're doing a book. Back in the early days of Vanguard, the STG was quite literally the only gun you saw. Maybe it was because it was unlocked early. Maybe because it felt familiar. Maybe because it was added to Warzone early. People already had it leveled up. I don't know. But I do think most likely the reason it was so popular is because, plain and simply, it was way too easy. It was easy to use. This rifle featured a good fire rate, fast movement speeds, pretty low recoil, very high damage, and by messing around in the gunsmith, you could even turn it into a two-shot kill beast, which was way too powerful for a gun this easy to use. Now, the STG has a history being overpowered in COD history, World at War, COD World War II, etc. But I honestly think the Vanguard version was the most obnoxious simply because of how fast it could kill and how little effort it took. When anybody can two-shot without trying, I think there's a problem with the gun. At number 7, this is not a gun. The Noob Tubes in Modern Warfare 2. It's an easy one. They were introduced in Call of Duty back in COD 4, but they were buffed out of this stratosphere in the sequel, and I don't get it. You could throw an underbarrel grenade launcher on any assault rifle in the game, and it would come with 2 shots for you to lob across the map. So by default, the blast radius was pretty generous. It wasn't hard to get a one-shot kill when you factor in perks like one-man army and danger close, and it became one of the most hated things in any first-person shooter. People would quite literally sit in a corner of the map or up on high-rise and infinitely fire noob tubes across the map until they got their nuke. Then they'd back out, find a new lobby, and do it again. Noob tubes quite literally took no skill to use effectively back in Modern Warfare 2, and the only reason I'm putting it down at number 7 is because of how obvious a pick they are. The second you read the title, you're probably going to expect to see this noob tube on there. At number 6, The Origin 12 in Modern Warfare 2019, I'm convinced this was a troll gun put in place by Infinity Ward. It's one thing to have a high-power semi-auto shotgun, but did you have to add a 25-round drum mag to it? Now, the Origin 12 reliably kills with 2 to 3 shots with no attachments, but if you throw in a couple barrel and muzzle attachments, boost the range, you can ruin people's day or weekend. I mean, shipment, just run around, hit the right trigger over and over. In hardcore modes especially, the Origin 12 is a nightmare, and if you start using it, you can pretty much guarantee that at least one enemy player is going to switch to it. If you can't beat them, you join them, right? Max range 25 round Origin 12 is completely busted. Very definition of a no-skill D-bag weapon. Don't use it. You're better than that. Or you were better than that. Let's stick with that. At number 5, the 725, again in Modern Warfare 2019. Speaking of Modern Warfare shotguns, who here, raise your hand, was playing during the early days when the 725 was broken? Yeah, I mean, it was actually pretty average during the Modern Warfare beta, but Infinity Ward, they adjusted it for launch. Now, it can only fire twice before needing to be reloaded, but it had an absurd one-shot kill range by default. Once you kitted it in the range, or 4 range in the gunsmith, it got bonkers. During the first month or two of Modern Warfare, every single player was running overkill with a 725 on their back. I mean, why not? If you were in a pinch, all you had to do was whip it out, pull the trigger twice, and the enemy was gone, deleted into the cloud. It didn't matter if they were right in front of you. It didn't matter if they were 30 feet away. As long as you fired in their general vicinity, it would clean them up. Infinity Ward had to patch it 3 or 4 times before it was actually balanced, but even today in hardcore modes, it's still pretty ridiculous. Granted, it's nowhere near as powerful as it once was, and it at least requires a little more skill, but the launch version, it definitely belongs on a list like this in the top 5. You know what else belongs there? The MV4 in Infinite Warfare. Now, what is it, IW? Why are they making their starting weapon so powerful? It was one of the most spammed weapons in any COD game I've ever played, despite the fact that Infinite Warfare had a lot of really cool guns to use. Futuristic version of the classic M4 rifle, but with a somewhat slower fire rate and somewhat higher damage. It wasn't really anything special, but what made it so popular was how easy it was to use. Clean iron sights, quick handling speeds, no recoil. In a game with wall running and boost jumping, a lot of people didn't feel like getting good at the movement, and instead they just wanted to hold down one spot on the map with a gun that was easy to use, and that's where the MV4 came in. Now, aside from the fact that it had a very competitive time to kill in pretty much any scenario, it was painfully easy to use, so a lot of people would sit in a corner, spray enemies, and smile. It's not that it was overpowered, it was just too easy. In a game where a lot of people were turned off by the amount of movement options, why get good at movement when you can just sit in a corner with an MV4? At number 3, the Kilo 141 in Warzone. Who remembers that time in Warzone history when the Kilo was literally the only primary weapon you saw? Starting assault rifle in Modern Warfare wasn't super flashy, wasn't crazy, but it was easy to control, extremely accurate. After Warzone took focus away from the main game, it didn't take people long to realize how powerful it was. And there was one point around the last few months of the life cycle, everybody was using it. The fire rate was decent, the damage per shot was average, but what made it so popular was that laser-like accuracy and the extremely forgiving ballistics. All you needed was a Kilo 141 with a monolithic suppressor, 60-round mag, VLK 3x sight, and you could drop 20 kills a game. The Kilo was nerfed a few times, but it's still viable. It's thankfully not as ridiculous as it once was, but I've never seen a gun so spammed in a Battle Royale game simply because it was that easy to use. I'm always going to be nostalgic for the early months of Warzone, but I don't think I missed the Kilo meta. At number 2, the LSAT in Black Ops 2. I know, another shocker. Some COD players argue that this was the original no-skill debag weapon. I get it. This LMG featured relatively low movement speeds, but your fire rate, your damage, your time to kill, the super low learning curve, plus you had 100 rounds in the mag by default, throw on FMJ, throw on a target finder. I mean, heck, even Treyarch knew how great the combo was because they made it a default class. The LSAT quickly became associated with campers and head glitchers and douchebags around the world, and to this day, it's impossible to publicly say that you use the LSAT without getting flamed by other Black Ops 2 players in the room. So while it may not have been the first no-skill weapon in COD, it's certainly one of the most infamous. And if people are still hating on it 10 years later, you know it was a problem. But there's still one singular weapon that I think have an even more dramatic impact on the community, and I bet a handful of you OGs already know what it is. At number 1, the 205 Brecci in Black Ops 3. Now, I'm honestly kind of getting tired of talking about this gun, but okay. You all know the story. Semi-auto shotgun with a huge magazine, insane range, and a fast reload, and a huge hitbox that Treyarch somehow decided was balanced by the entirety of Black Ops 3's life cycle, somehow. People were exploiting the Brecci within the first week of Black Ops 3, and to this day, it's never been nerfed. Never. Yes, Treyarch pushed out a couple patches in order to prevent people from using fire rate exploits, but that wasn't the problem. Brecci itself was the problem. It was too powerful and too easy to use. You didn't have to aim, you didn't have to be precise. All you had to do was fly around spamming the right trigger until 2 to 3 shots connected with your enemy. Poof, they're gone into the cloud again. It was easily the most hated shotgun in COD history, and I think it kicked off the trend of exploitable shotguns in the franchise's modern era. Think about it. Ever since Black Ops 3, every single new COD game has a similar semi-auto shotgun that the community complains about and compares to the Brecci. Is it coincidence? I think not. There you have it, my friends. Let me know one no-skill debag weapon that didn't make this list that was definitely deserving. If you want to win some cash, check out that link at the top of the description, and I'll see you soon.